Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our 12th session of our V5 Vampire the Masquerade Chronicle, La Terreur et la Vertu, where things finally, after quite some time, come to a crux. I am Beck. I will be your storyteller for our session this evening. And before we dive headfirst into the action for this evening, let us get our lovely group to introduce themselves to us all.
Hi, I'm Adam. I'll be playing Remy, our Sabbat Malkavian.
I'm Jack. I will be playing Madame la Comtesse de Visage, the Camarilla Toreador.
And hi, I'm Syrinx, and I'll be playing Mael, the City Gangrel Anarch.
And quite a group they are, too, with the tumultuous events of the previous evening, which amalgamated in a distinctly terrifying confrontation with one of the chief lieutenants of Maximilian Robespierre, and a meeting with one of his chief enemies, antagonists, rivals in the city as well, who has offered them his assistance in the forbidden secret rite of the Sabbat to strengthen them in the coming confrontation that will take place upon a new night, upon all of their awakening. But before the three of you do awaken to this new evening, the 8th of Thermidor, year 2, in this strange new calendar that Robespierre has adopted for the Republic of France, lest it be called a kingdom ever again. While Paris is going through its day, a strange day full of whispering amongst the people in the streets, rumors and conspiracies about Robespierre's return, people planning to stand outside the Tuileries in the Place de la Révolution, amongst the sort of guillotine that towers over the courtyard, so they can perhaps catch a glimpse or the slightest sound of his voice when he appears before the convention again come the evening. While these rumors are circulating the city streets, Remy, in the pits of your theatre, in the oubliette of your theatre, so to speak, you are torpid, rigid, in a state of undeath, the true sort of vampiric state. Yet your mind drifts elsewhere. As you are sleeping during this bright day, the brightness of which you don't see, or don't experience, don't feel, is there anything you would like to do here?
I would like to invite a visitor to my daydream. So I'm going to use River of Dreams to have a conversation with my old buddy Georges Couton.
I will get you to make a rouse check, since it is during the day that you are enforcing this confrontation, this subconscious confrontation, strangely enough.
And I succeeded, so no extra hunger.
Your hunger doesn't stir as you conjure this scenario in your own headspace. I'm going to ask you, Remy, what is your state of mind this day coming into tomorrow evening?
Remy is experiencing something that for him is analogous to the moment before the curtain opens, so to speak. Remy doesn't really experience stage fright, but there's a moment right before it starts where almost all of the nerves and anticipation and excitement suddenly become intense and vivid for like a moment. And then it starts and it all goes away. So he's right in the middle of that heightened state, I think, because it's about to happen.
Interesting. You, in a similar way to what we saw a few nights ago, you enter into this field, this open field with this river of red, this river of blood that sort of is stagnant and doesn't flow. Walking across down the banks of it, the grass soft and cold beneath your feet, but you can't quite feel it. Every sort of sense, every feeling is distant to you in the state of undeath, which you find yourself for the past however long. And as you approach in the distance, coming closer and closer, in this still, timeless kind of landscape, is this windmill that doesn't spin, for there is no wind at all. It is in a state of decrepit decay. Everything is trapped in time here, as though it is about to begin moving, to begin living, to begin its life as something active and present, but not quite there, as though somebody has stopped the world from turning, or as though the world is still turning, but for you, in the center of it, you find this moment of clear, crisp, and delightfully present peace and timelessness, where everything you feel is representative of this particular moment. And as you stand amongst this pause in time, you hear, probably before you see, the disturbance of Georges Couton's wheelchair. The sort of sound of wooden wheels creaking and bouncing a little over the slightly rough, uneven ground, the grass, as he slowly makes his way towards you, his face of a sort of 40-year-old man. In this scene, he doesn't wear the sort of wig that he will don in public usually. His dark hair is out, plain to see, short, cut back, very pragmatic. His clothes form-fitting, tight. His arms strong, and his gaze contemplative, open and curious as he approaches you. He doesn't look around him at the sights. He is singularly focused on you, as though he doesn't see any of this, doesn't notice how strange the environment is, as though he can only see you. He looks upon you, doesn't say anything, waits for you to speak first, in this instance.
Hello, my old friend.
Monsieur Saint-Jean, I'm in half a mind to believe I am dreaming.
Well then, I suppose whether you round up or not, you are at least half right.
I've not had the pleasure of seeing pictures in my sleep for quite some time. How poignant that every time it happens, it always appears to have something to do with you.
Well, I like to think of it as a little gift. I suppose I won't presume you enjoy it.
What exactly is it that you presume to be gifting me in this instance? I'd be delighted to know.
For the moment, just a dream.
Whether it is a good or a bad one remains to be seen, I suppose.
Yes. Yes, I suppose. I have a question for you, Georges, and I expect you might have questions for me.
I have a conglomerate of questions. Perhaps you may be able to answer some of them. For some reason, I have a suspicion that you might know the answer to quite a few.
Curse of my clan, perhaps, that presumption. But in this case, quite right, I think. Before you ask, when last we met, you came to the theater looking for Sebastian. You seemed disquieted. You came there of your own volition. I know it is a personal question, but how are your relations with your pack these nights?
Here I can't answer that without delving into one of my own questions.
I suppose that's fair. What I mean to ask, perhaps, is I had the impression that you were acting in a way that perhaps you would not have disclosed with them. I know we all have our secrets. You can tell me I was just seeing things, of course.
I wouldn't be so shallow as to suggest anything resembling that, Remy. On the contrary, I was representing them with my presence rather than acting on my own volition, if you must know the truth.
I see. I see. Perhaps you should ask your questions then.
Yes. Speaking of which, you have felt yourself the singularly excruciating feeling of having your sacred bond broken, have you not?
I have.
That has been... It has been happening quite a bit to me of late. That particular strand of pain. Maxime thinks Louis Antoine thought that it might have something to do with you. Would they be correct in assuming so?
How interesting to learn that Maxime has spared a thought for me.
He spares quite a few, interestingly enough.
Is that so? I suppose we've all wondered in his absence.
Wondered and wandered.
Yes. Some of us view those two as precisely the same.
Hence why I'm here, perhaps.
Indeed. I will answer your question. Yes, is the simple answer. However, it's important to me that of all people you understand me, Georges, in some way. It is not a pressure I feel with many other Cainites.
Why me then?
Because you have shown me kindness. Perhaps that is absurd. But I believe, consider it faith in some sort of fundamental sympathy. Some part of me believes that when you have seen what I have seen, perhaps you will know as I know, and as much as you are able, feel as I feel. So true to form, I have brought you here for a show.
What have you seen then? What is the primary influence of this show of yours?
One you are very close to. And yet I wonder how close indeed. And I'm going to use one of the powers of this discipline, which is to show a dream that I have seen before.
Yeah.
And I would like to show to Georges a dream that I have seen of Maximilien Robespierre's.
Wonderful. Any particular one? Or just, do you pluck one out at random?
It is a very particular one. A very, shall we say, dramatic. A vision straight from his heart of his own place in things. I'd like for the surroundings to change, to reflect his dream, as though we are no longer by this river, but we're now like with front row seats to the show that is what he went through.
Certainly. I suppose a rush of images float by. Am I correct in assuming you want this scene to now resemble perhaps a cave of some kind or a field?
Yeah, I think the first thing that will come is that the fields around us will suddenly become green with life. And we will be, instead of in this strange gray twilight of this place, it will be like noonday sun, but it won't burn us. And in front of us are these sweeping fields and rolling hills, and there are suddenly emerging over the horizon of one of the hills, from the beginning sort of shadows of a great forest that's just at the edge of sight. There are these sort of lurking figures that start resolving out of the darkness. And there are armies of people with strange sort of disfigurations and lurking strides. And fog starts rolling out with them. And you can see that the sun is burning the skin off of their bones as they walk, but they continue stepping anyway with this horrid efficiency and steadiness. And as that goes on, there is suddenly a bright light from the sky just over the tree line. And that light resolves itself into a beautiful face, like Greek marble, surrounded in a halo of blood. And that light then shines out until it blots almost everything. And as it shines by, those green fields dissolve. And in that way that can only happen in dreams, it is both the field and somewhere else. And that is when it becomes this deep cavern. And there are screams and horrible lamentations. And what used to be these great disfigured armies becomes these sort of swirling whirlpools of bodies looking up into the air where this beautiful face is still shining. And then that face resolves itself to the familiar figure of Robespierre himself. And then back to a face like Apollo, and then Robespierre again, and then back to Apollo, as though conflated. And this figure reaches down to offer a helping hand, and he only selects certain people from this horrible whirlpool of wailing and gnashing of teeth. And he targets those who are putting their feet on the necks of their brethren, crushing them beneath them, climbing up above, so that their heads break the crest of this swirling mass, this morass. And to those people, Apollo reaches out his hand and pulls them up. And then the lamentations begin to die down, and the sound begins to fade in this whirlpool of misery. Stills back into a perfect greenery. And the clouds condense downward into great trees. And there is the light twittering of birds and golden sunshine. And then two figures, human, but more than human, beautiful. And there again is Robespierre. Both the face of Adam and the face of one of the many children surrounding them. And I want to turn to Kuthon and just watch his reactions to all of this.
Mouton is usually very stoic about himself, but I won't make you roll for this. The hands grip the sides of the wheelchair tightly, quivering, shaking, as though he is a mortal man of middle age. He doesn't cry, but there is a single welling of dark red burgundy on the inner corner of his eye that threatens to fall but doesn't. He squints every so often to keep it from doing so. His face remains difficult to read, but his mannerisms betray deep feeling. And as this montage flows through and reaches this serene kind of pastoral climax, he simply looks to you, Remy, and says, "L'incorruptible."
Indeed.
Have you spoken to him in the way you speak to me now?
No. A conversation with Maxime, well, it is always more of a lecture. I speak to you when I want to be heard, Georges.
You have my full attention.
You have seen what I've seen. These are the fruits of his lust for supremacy. I remember that beautiful boy who charmed us all. I believe he believed. I cannot abide the foul taste of hypocrisy. But I believe this is what his faith has become. A hall of mirrors.
Of compromise, and more compromise and corruption.
If you unseat a god, it is only to become a god. It is not just a tale that is evil or bad or wrong. It is worse, Georges. It is tedious.
Nobody likes to read the same book over and over again, do they?
As much as I enjoy a rhyme, I have not enjoyed the cult of reason.
It seems you are implying that the show is about to end its season.
Perhaps. But you know, there is a fundamental difference between a tragedy and a history. You have a choice, Georges, about which one you perform in.
He breaks eye contact with you then, simply to sort of glance over himself and says, I've never been much of a performer, more of an observer. However, there's still a part of me, and perhaps this is the blood. There is still a part of me that sees the boy walking home from school with Camille Desmoulins, talking about a better future. The boy who rallied against the killing of the children of Seth for meaningless purposes. The boy who sees the world in an entirely different way to any of us, something which I imagine in your own way you can appreciate. Like I said, perhaps it's the blood talking. He has become treacherous. He has come to defy all that we seek to represent. However, I cannot conform to the same treachery that he has that he is purveying. If you are asking me to join you, I simply cannot.
Yes. Yes, I know. Perhaps what I really ask is for you to be an observer. And I am sorry. In some ways, things might be easier for you if your faith was unshaken.
Lives have been shaken. History is being shaken. If it ends in tragedy for me, then it will be a tragedy wherein I stick by the ideals that I had when all of this began. If I survive, it will be to see them through. That remains to be seen. And I am happy to let it be seen.
Well, then perhaps, if I can offer you one thing to assure my good faith, and perhaps to assure you that those ideals, corrupted as their execution may have become, that those ideals remain true, and that I share them with you. I must tell you, Georges, look to your child. If there is a scene that you would not play an active part in on the grand stage, then perhaps a stage more domestic should occupy your attention. There are those who look beyond the great crescendo that is coming and wish to keep their strands of power strong and to settle old vendettas. The old sheriff, Dorian Everest, comes for your child. perhaps you should prepare to meet him.
I've been prepared for that for some time, but if it is as you say, and his motives more active, now as all of ours seem to be, perhaps, Monsieur Saint-Jean, you can count on my absence tomorrow evening.
Thank you, Georges. You know that things must be dire if I am not inviting you to a front row seat.
A different kind of play, perhaps. And I can assure you, it is one where, even if I am not there to cheer you on, you will be in no small amount of danger. It is his domain at the end of the night.
My friend, all of Paris has been his domain for so many nights. But I will keep to the shadows until it is time to find my light.
Always been good at locating your cue, Remy.
Yes, well, perhaps I should practice my lines.
He gives you a bow.
I'll return it.
And simply says, I cannot wait to read the reviews.
I hope that we shall laugh and discuss them someday. And then I will dissolve the dream, return to sleep.
Yes, the dissolution of it is very gradual. He leaves first the way he came, until he disappears into that forest, which, you know, became something a lot more grotesque moments ago. And it is only once he's gone that everything sort of starts to fade. The windmill starts to creak and turn again just as you fall back into your slumber. Upon the awakening of a new night, I will get all three of you to make a rouse check together. Success for Lucretia. Success for Remy. Doing well.
2 in a row.
Yeah. And a failure for Mael. I think the dice are trying to tell us something about the roles.
Sleeping in a room of elders would
What are they
probably
trying
do
to
that.
tell us?
Oh, don't worry, I've got to make like 3 more of those checks now, actually.
Oh.
You're
Because
not
my
the
brains
only
is
one,
leaking.
buddy.
Oh.
Yes. Before we deal with that housekeeping, we'll shift to Lucretia as you awaken, sprawled out on this huge bed that is obscenely large. One of the largest beds in the whole of Paris, I imagine. Decked out with layers upon layers of blankets, pillows. The room itself is adorned with gold-plated sort of decorative things, pastel colors, a huge vanity on the other side of the room. A fireplace which is constantly bare, dry, cold. and little trinkets that the two of you sprawled under these covers together, sleeping interlocked as though you are true mortal lovers trapped in stillness, trapped in time. That all changes as the two of you awaken at precisely the same time as though you are the same person.
Lucretia has had quite a vulnerable few days.
Mm.
And I think when she wakes up, she still feels like the coldness of Dominique.
Mm.
And as they kind of do their usual like little kiss in the morning, she gets up, she goes to the wardrobe, she puts like her undergarment, like dress on. And as she starts to reach for like a cloak, she can hear Dominique getting ready. And the recollections of what has happened in her past kind of get to her a little bit. I think as she's like pulling up one of the sleeves, his rustling, she just turns around. She says, "My love, could you please leave the room? I
Um,
just need some time to get ready."
Certainly. I haven't done anything wrong, have I?
No, not at all. It is. I would like to surprise you with my look. I need some time. I'm not feeling too well.
He buttons up the rest of his jacket and says, "Oh, very well, my love. I
Yeah.
will
She
be."
doesn't hurry him.
Mhm.
She's just like, "No, please present yourself." But
Certainly. He gets fully dressed, comes up to you, kisses you on the
I
mouth.
think as he comes forward, she just
Mm.
puts her hands on his like shoulders softly, and she just says, "Just a moment. Just wait outside, please."
He blinks and turns to go, looks around at you again, and shuts the door behind him very, very softly,
Mm,
as though he's tentative about closing it.
yeah. Um, it closes, and I think she feels guilty, of course, to make him feel like that, but she couldn't be in a room with him,
Mm.
like the memories of what had occurred. Um, she puts on the rest of her dress and her getup, and she moves to her vanity and sits down. She looks at the mirror. She sees her like almost translucent skin and those like faint veins that you can see. Um, she looks to her powders and she knows that she still has that canister of Marie Antoinette's final powder that
Mm.
was all that was left of her vanity. Save for special occasions, another powerful woman that is not here anymore. She reaches for her own powder and she starts to press it in. She looks at the mirror. There's something on there and she can't help but be like, oh, I can't believe my mirror is dirty. And she goes to wipe it, but there's nothing there. So must be something on her face. And she wipes the powder off. There must be something. And all of the tears that are dotting her cheeks get mixed up into her hair. She keeps trying to clear her face. And as she stops and kind of puts her hands on the table to look at herself, the blood in her like blonde hair is too reminiscent of the red of her friend. Um, and she clutches her vanity and smashes Marie Antoinette's powder to the side. And she wipes her tears and she smashes her own powder to the side and she's just wiping and she's crying. And she looks at herself and she's trying to pull her hair and move some of it to her cheeks to make it rouge. Like she is just, she can't cover the cracks that she can see, but they're just veins. The cracks that this woman in the reflection, Sophie, who's dead, told her constantly that she needed to have a belief. What is she standing for? And she's been holding everyone to the standard of what is your belief? Would it have saved me? When she couldn't save her own friend, Sophie. And she pulling at her own hair until she just sits down with everything on the floor. And she just takes this big breath. And she looks at herself with just blood smeared all over the front of her face in her hair. And Marie Antoinette is dead. The old Dominique, even though her blood craves for the old Dominique, he is dead. Sophie's dead. Every single actual kindred that she was close with is dead. And she's just mourning. What's the point of it? And now she has to go and kill the one person who has shown belief in all of Paris and France. She's meant to be the observer, and now that she has to be the one to do the action. And then she just wipes again. She gets a cloth, she wets it, she cleans her hair, she cleans her face. She opens a drawer, she pulls out her resupply, powders her face, and she actually does mix in some of the tears that she cried to make the rouge on her cheeks and the red on her lips. She does her hair up, she dresses. If she's mourning, then there is one person with which she can share her mourning with, a mourning mother. She'll turn, walk out, we'll find Dominique, give him a kiss on each cheek and be like, my love, thank you for your patience, my dear.
Of course. Is there anything you would like me to do tonight? I know it is a night.
I need you to ensure that my friend, Julien, and everyone within the Palais Royal is kept safe. I need you to be sure that no action is taken to make yourself a target following what may occur. The Camarilla, while praxis has been called, we are serving as a target. We must stay as such until the pot simmers and is not at boil. I must leave the Palais Royal, so I leave it in your capable hands.
You know that I can do this one thing, my love. If anything else, this place has remained safe for the past 5 years, and I plan for it to do so for a very, very long time into the future.
I love Dominique. And she kisses him on both cheeks. You save me every night. I must now do a great deal of business, of which will be very unpleasant. So please, be a soft place for me to come home to. And she'll glide down the hall and find Julien.
In her rooms. Alone.
Come down. Come down and sit down just beside her in the bed and like move her hair, check that she's feeling okay. Like, good evening, Julien. I will be requiring your assistance because she's still in like torpor.
She's still in torpor.
Yeah. She's just talking to her.
Yeah.
I will be using your family, and I know that may make you anxious. But you know that I am one to be trusted, and I will hold your family to the highest importance. Know that any semblance of faith you have in me will be respected. They will be informants and movements. They will be eyes, but they will not be fists or claws or weapons. She'll just give like a kiss on the cheek, and she'll just say to the room, like, directions will now be given. Are you ready? And she'll order to have Julien's people move to a lot of the like secret entrances
Mm-hmm.
and to serve as the higher, older, obfuscate proficient ones to assist in moving the anarchs. A lot of getting people in and covering exits, but more as alarms than actual walls, if that makes sense. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. They will all move out with you. Probably even make themselves known to you. One of them heads off towards Anarch territory down in the south. Some of them head towards the Tillery, where they station themselves mostly underground in the basement sort of area that you have traversed yourselves before as well. Others meet up with some of the guards that you know that Aaron de Galbert has bribed to let you in and, be in contact with those people. So you have this network of information and communication established at the beginning of the evening.
Yeah. And I want to become the center of it so that anything that passes through comes through her.
Yeah.
Is Dorian in the Palais Royal?
No.
Got it. She'll probably, before giving all her orders, will whisper to Julian and be like, "You must make a new coat for Dorian, because he has not shown up. Perhaps something with a yellow stomach." And is going to make her way to probably a point we've agreed upon.
Yeah.
Just for us as the helming of each sect. So I will get into position. She would have a backup fan because one of them broke against St. Just. So she would use probably a little bit of time using her weapon crafting to make sure it's nice and sharp, well oiled, and then move out.
Great. And for sake of time, I will say that when you arrive at the agreed upon location, one of Bilal Varen's ghouls will hand you the fan that you gave him last night. It looks the same in all regards, but he has promised you that it will be more lethal in some ways based on a way that he's modified it for you.
Probably like a heightened sense of smell to smell that there is actually like blood on it, and then be like, okay, he actually did what he said.
Yes, the sort of metallic, almost tingling, melancholic resonance of the Banu Hakim
Sparkling
blood.
vitae.
Yeah, that's right, exactly. That you can sense on it, or at least the sort of molecular remains of perhaps he bathed it in his vitae during this ritual or something like that. But yes, it's definitely been through something of that nature. And you are probably the first to arrive as you move with such terrifying speed. Exactly.
Yeah.
Especially through the streets, it's impossible to even catch a glimpse of Lucretia. And
the faintest dab at her waterline. She's like, stop.
Yeah, that's right. Just move it to the lips to touch it up as you are running, as it sort of flares out as you speed across the streets of Paris. And as you are moving, Maëlle, we turn to you. You awaken in your basement, the polar opposite of Lucretia's surroundings as you awaken. Instead of having an intimate lover snuggle up against you upon your awakening from torpor, there are two Cainites that share this space with you on the opposite side of the space, sort of huddled up into one corner. One of them, Caius, your sire, still petrified in the position of him grabbing at your throat when you exchanged blows not too long ago. The other, Saint Just, who has been kind of awkwardly snapped into a kind of position where you were able to carry him across the streets of the city, sort of almost childlike in his slumber, peaceful in a way that you have never seen him before, no dark expression crossing his features, like a young man in the depths of slumber, dreaming about something pleasant.
I think as I kind of wake up with a stutter, no like easy, um, slowly waking up, looking at the sunshine, just all of a sudden from lying down on the ground to like sitting up, looking around for a moment to like recall the events of last night, look around to gain like insight on the surroundings, seeing both of them still laying there, nothing having happened to them, not having moved or anything. Because I think there's always like a fear of, for so long I didn't know what all of the blood could do. What if what I've been told about all of this is also wrong? And then like they can suddenly move, or he might wake up during like the day. Um, there's like still that uncertainty because there's so much that she didn't know, or so much that she may have been lied to about, um, or may have forgotten. And but seeing that they're both still in the exact position that she put them in, um, I'll like look down, um, feel the discomfort of still having like a shoulder slash arm that's not entirely where it should be. Um, she'll pull off the shirt, throw it like somewhere in front of her, and kind of look at her shoulder. And I will heal, but I already made the 3 rouse checks for that last aggravated damage.
Great.
Um, and I have 2 successes and 1 failure, so I'm at 3 hunger right now.
Free hunger, a precarious place to be, but
Mm-hmm.
no matter. You wake up and feel your shoulder sort of crack and crunch back together, manually sort of fixing itself. It is quite painful, the process, really. But after, I would say, about half an hour, you're able to move it again as though it is good as new. But that sort of ache from where it forced itself back together is still there, reminding you of the intense interaction you had with your sire, the evidence of which is literally still sprawled out across your floor. And you have the hunger
think-
to prove it as well.
Yeah, and during that whole time that she's relocating it, trying to slowly fix it, and also seeing like visibly the wounds on the shoulder beginning to heal and like disappear completely. Um, throughout that period of time, she will be looking down, over the rest of like her shirt being basically off, um, down her arms to her like middle and stuff like that, and seeing all of the very poignant now little scars everywhere that, despite being able to fix this whole mess on her shoulder, um, despite being like given this when she was rebirthed, or whoever you want to call it, embraced the scars that didn't get to heal, despite that, the wounds that were inflicted on her for punishments that shouldn't have been given, for acts that were nothing as heinous as whatever she's been doing the last 2 centuries. For small things like that, that the wounds she got for being herself and trying to fight for something, freedom, as a mortal, that she is still not able to heal those, and they still remain with her after all of this time, while the slaughtering of dozens of people she has done throughout the 2 centuries, all of those wounds just heal and disappear. Um, I think she kind of flashes back to that when she's healing the shoulder, and as it like finally pops into place and she kind of snaps back um and looks around, probably trying to find some new clothes. uh she Her gaze catches on the old shirt again from last night, with blood being all over it, once again, and the kind of nagging feeling that she knows that this night it's gonna be the same, and that this night she's gonna have blood on her shirt again, um, as she did, well, as she did constantly almost every night since that one night 2 centuries ago, where uh, the first big wounds that she did manage to heal were inflicted upon her by the man who's now sitting on the floor of her basement. Um, but she manages to like shrug it off and find some new clothes, really realizing that at some point she will need a way to get new clothes. Because as much as we've joked about an unlimited pile of shirts being in the basement, um, that's the reality. Um, but yeah, she'll then take new clothes, put them on, and turn a gaze at the two bodies still in her basement. She's not used to having the bodies linger. She Normally there's no body to be found, or it's just discarded. Like, she's not used to having this kind of thought or instinct that perhaps she shouldn't dispose of the body right away. So it's kind of a strange feeling as she yet again wakes up and looks at the two bodies there, almost as if again deciding um, what to do with them. Um, I think she'll look around for a few pieces of like big um fabric pieces, cloth that she may be able to wrap St. Justin.
Yeah, you could definitely make a kind of makeshift rope out of both soiled shirts and perhaps some of the ones that have yet to be bloodied as well.
Mm.
Tie him to a post or the bottom of the staircase, something like this.
Oh, it's more of a
Like wrapping
trying
him up.
to make a little package out of him so
Mm.
she can take him with.
Yeah, easy enough to do. Actually, I'll get you to roll for me to
Don't
see
make
how
me
this
roll
is.
craft. Don't make me roll craft.
Why not?
Don't. But
I won't get you to roll craft. I'll get you to roll. It'll be wits and survival.
okay, sure.
as you are tying knots and things. So
Make her roll craft.
No worries. I have 4 successes.
4 successes, lovely. Yeah, you managed to tie particular knots where you could almost like carry him using the kind of rope that you have made, so it's easy for you to carry
I have
with
shoulder
you.
bag.
Yes, exactly. A shoulder bag that is Saint-Just shaped.
Yeah. And I think while she's doing that, she's particularly seeing an eyesight of her sire.
Mm.
As she kind of makes this little bag of this important Sabbat, possibly elder, like she just wraps him up, kind of tests it so that she can just lug it over her shoulder. And once that's like good, she'll kind of turn back to her sire, as she's done before, knowing that he can still hear her and see things. Just say, I think for a moment her gaze first catches on the hand that's outstretched.
Yeah.
But before she lets any other um, bad memories or possibly mixed feelings, because she knows that she's angry and she knows that what everything that transpired the last few nights, there's this nagging, still positive, warmly family feeling there. So before looking at all of that, feeling those like emotions that she doesn't want to feel, but kind of does, it's very strange. She quickly just tries to not think about all of that, not relive those moments, and she looks at his face and says, I wish you could see what we're about to do today. I wish you could see the true definition of freedom. And she leaves him behind, and with the shoulder bag of justice, starts to walk out. um, I think her plan will be to find so go to that place that they agreed upon in stealth, find well, I guess we can discuss that when we're there, but her plan is basically to find a Nosferatu that can obfuscate her, get her inside like that, so that no one really notices the bag, but then once inside she'll like do something else. So yeah.
Okay. To sort of traverse the streets and get to that point, I'll say that the Nosferatu will meet up with the 3 of you at your agreed upon location. I'm going to get you to make for me dexterity stealth, just to see whether or not people notice you or not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And if they do notice me, I'll convince them or intimidate them that they didn't.
A lot less underhanded than Caius's tactics.
3 successes. Oh yeah, maybe I should feed.
If you want to. There'll be a glorious opportunity to do so soon, too.
You brought a juice box with you.
No, I did not. Thank
That sounds
you.
like Remy talk.
It's
Do you
an
want to
Yeah,
feed?
yeah, all right. I'll leave it at that.
Okay, no worries. So the 2 of you meet up first. I would say that, Remy, because of your escapades into the world of the subconscious, it takes you a little longer to awaken. Also based upon your humanity rating as opposed to the others as well. It takes a bit of time. in any case, you eventually awaken yourself, and if any of you would like to do any healing, the rest of you, now would be the time.
Yeah, I need to get rid of some aggro damage and
Yes.
possibly feed straight after.
You are in the place to do so, the calm before the storm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. The juice box is coming to me.
Some of you
Okay.
were hurt. It's weird.
Mm-hmm.
I would love if you say this now, and in like an hour's time, we
I
simply
meet
show
final
like
death.
bloodied.
Okay, I just rolled 2 10s and an 8.
Oh, wow.
I'm like,
All right, bro.
I'm genuinely afraid for what that means for later.
You gave
All your
yourself
good rouse
a
checks
play.
are happening at the moment.
I don't know what's happening. I think I had my first successful nightly rouse check like 2 sessions ago.
Fully.
How do bottomless mimosas for rouse checks feel?
Yes, that's right. Exactly.
Remember the other night that you did a dream and woke up with like 5 hunger?
Yeah.
What hunger are you on at the moment, Remy?
Well, I believe I'm only at 1
Yes.
because I succeeded on the rouse check for River of Dreams and then just rolled 3 successes in a row.
And you succeeded in your nightly rouse check as well. You're still feeling the glorious effects of Francois Henriot's blood flowing through your veins, and it gives you a sense of clarity, I'd say. A sense
Let's get
of
sensuous
purpose.
blood too. You have half of that pack's blood in you.
Yeah. It's like a secondhand Valdery going on in me right now.
A little bit. You are sort of in the process of absorbing another pack into your very self. And perhaps also the honest conversation with Couton during the day as well places your mind in a particular sphere wherein you can see the stage that is set before you, and everything has worked out up until this point. All that is left to do now is raise it and allow the show to go on.
I do have one thing that I should do while I'm still at
Yes.
the Bon Diable, is even though I don't need to satiate any hunger, I should get a little bit of that sweet opium. Otherwise, because the last blood I had was awesome, but it wasn't drugged.
No.
So
Yes.
should get amongst that.
You can take your pick from the the grand sort of variety of resonances, most of which are probably phlegmatic based on the effects of the opiates that you provide in this place.
Yeah, I would think so. Our buddy Vion's not here, is he?
He is not. No.
Okay. Then no further business, Your Honor.
Yes.
Just take a single drink and go to the rendezvous.
Are you drinking enough to lower your hunger to 0, or are you just taking a small sip to rectify that flaw that you have?
Just quell that little voice. Yeah. And I mean, the only way I can get to 0 hunger is with a very particular set of circumstances.
Yes, that's right.
I have to really vet these sleepers to figure that one out.
Yeah, sort of glimpse into their thoughts, their feelings, their everything to get to that point. But yes, you take a sip from one of these zonked out people in the oubliette, enough to fill you with that you feel even more calm than what you did before when ingesting this blood. Things were extraordinarily clear and lucid before. They are still clear, but in a way that any inhibition that you would have had about what you're about to do sort of seeps out, and you are much more invested and filled up in the sensations of your body and the way that it moves and things of this nature. In any case, you all go and meet up, probably in some back alley, I would say, several blocks away from the Tuileries, far enough away that you're not going to be swarmed by crowds of people coming by, but close enough that it's easy to direct yourselves and move about and get there pretty quickly. Before we go on a break, I will leave the scene to you as you meet up in privacy this night, perhaps for the only time you will get privacy, just to leave the scene momentarily to the three of you and perhaps the torpid body of Saint Just as well. Not that that potentially matters.
Bonjour.
Bonne nuit.
Evening. So we all ready?
Is everyone in position? Everyone in my control is where they should be.
Good.
The Anarchs will be ready to join us inside.
I can have Julien's family cover a portion of the Anarchs in obfuscation to ensure that they can enter completely unseen. Perhaps
It would
more
be
of
good
the
for
heavily armed ones.
it would be good for Robespierre and his people to not know how many there actually are.
And perhaps cover your guest.
Yes.
Is there a plan for him?
I don't think there's much of a plan needed, except for the fact that justice is dead.
Long live justice.
Be sure that, actually, quick question. Do we have any idea? Robespierre is older than Saint Just.
Hard to say. You probably wouldn't
Yeah.
know his origins, how
Yeah.
old he is.
Be sure that old blood does not enter Saint Just's mouth before the time.
I don't care about blood. I don't care about getting him anywhere. He won't wake up anymore.
If old blood touches his tongue, then he will.
Yeah, sure. So no one will get close to him. You
Good.
suggesting that I would let someone get close enough to do anything. Good.
Just something to be aware of.
I'm very aware these last few nights.
She just
Ah.
turns to face Remy.
I think it will make a rather excellent demonstration.
And all of your players are in place?
Indeed.
Excellent. All there is to do now is find the right time to strike.
We'll find that once we're inside, won't we?
Yes, indeed.
The benefit of a public target, a reliable schedule.
Yes, 6 weeks we have waited.
I am glad that I was able to work with both of you again.
I am overjoyed that we got to see each other again. Very much.
Let's leave the pleasantries for when we actually have Robespierre's head.
Very well.
And Mayel kind of looks shifty at that. Like she's not really sure how to react to Remy saying that.
Well,
Right, so where are Julian's people?
all around us. In position. Whenever you need them. Where are the Anarchs?
same, I guess. I don't know what you're expecting here. I just need one of Julian's people to get myself inside.
I think we'll have to cover a few people.
One of them will meet
Yeah.
up with you eventually to
Mhm.
use the
Oh.
discipline required.
Yeah, and I guess we'll move in
Mm-hmm.
into position. Going to, as much as possible, blend in,
Yep.
find the people who have clearly been paid off, shift closer to them,
Mm-hmm.
doing use of a fan, the use of fabrics and people, the looping of arms, the use of persuasion, just to
Great.
get people like confused enough that they don't like push her away until she can move to someone else so
Yeah.
that she can find a position.
And Remy is crouched behind her, like behind the skirt,
Under her
like,
skirt.
hurrying with her, like, don't move so fast.
Remy has accepted his role as arm candy. It's fine.
Awesome. In that case, Mayel, you're not going to have to roll because you'll be obfuscated as part of this Cloak the Gathering. But Lucretia, Remy, I'll get you to roll wits or specs for me. To see if you can still see Mayel, of course.
I would like to use Daunt as well to help keep any of the regular losers in this crowd not looking at us.
Interesting. Okay.
And I will say that I'm mainly using Obfuscate to get inside.
Yes.
But knowing that Robespierre is a toreador, knowing that he may possibly see me and recognize me, I have a different plan. So once I'm inside past like the guards, I will use Mask of 1,000 Faces to just blend the fuck in. And do that because that way Robespierre will not be able to see me.
Okay.
You know?
Interesting. And Lucretia, I'm going to get you to roll manipulation and etiquette for me.
Do I get anything because of Dawn?
No, because it's not intimidation. Actually, you can roll intimidation and add your presence if you'd like as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
The other one was etiquette. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. We'll go intimidation with that.
Yeah, why not? Whatever's better. And Remy, I will get you to roll. I'll get you to roll. I think it'll be.
Is it possible to get like a dot from him and this be like a group kind of me covering for him?
He doesn't have any dots in intimidation, so it won't be.
Lame.
Remy has 2 dots in intimidation.
Oh, sorry, I was looking at the wrong thing. Yes, add a dot to Lucretia's roll. Instead of doing it as you both rolling. How many successes in the wits or specs roll did you get?
4 for Remy.
I also rolled 4, so you can still see Mayel.
We love it. Always.
Yes.
Right, so that intimidation with Daunt is 8 with a critical.
Oh.
Yeah, a normal critical.
I'm going to start
not at this point,
compulsion on Robespierre now.
Just be turning your face towards me.
Please, I'm going to say some stuff like dreams, and I'm going to go.
It's happened to Henrio, it's happened to Saint-Just, it's happened to... No. Okay.
Girl, wait for this break to end. I'll ask for it. Can I have a compulsion?
I only kill the ones I envy.
But yes, Mayel, you blend in with the help of this Nosferatu, you and Saint-Just with you into obfuscation. Remy and Lucretia, you move through with a fierce sort of confidence, as though
Divine beings, as we
yes,
all are.
that's right, exactly. Saying the right things, especially to the people who look unsure about being here, and your sort of solid stance on this ideology makes them uneasy, and you're able to sort of move through. All 3 of you, Mayel holding Saint-Just as well. As you enter, I'll describe what it looks like in the hall. So you enter into basically what is an auditorium, sort of an entranceway that is an arch tunnel essentially, and it sort of looks out onto, you sort of enter at the bottom of this huge like stadium auditorium, on the sort of ground floor. Behind you are these seats where people have already started sitting. There are a lot of people with ale, brandy, wine, drinking and talking to each other, people wearing pretty much exclusively this bourgeois sort of almost uniform that is the fashion. These are three-pointed hats. Some people still wear them, some people have them down on the tables. A lot of them have the tricolor sort of little decoration at the front of them as well. White cravats, black jackets, white shirts underneath. Pretty much everyone is dressed in this way. And at the very front of the room that you sort of face when you walk in, there is a big sort of lectern that goes up. So the person sort of goes upstairs and speaks at the crowd that is sort of up in the stands, basically. There usually are about 600 people who sit in this room, as is the amount of people that are part of the convention. There are even more people stuffed in here today. The room is large enough to seat all of these people. Probably about 1,000 people will make their way in here for the start of the speech, guests and the members of the convention as well. You are here early enough where you can sort of choose where you want to situate yourselves. So I'll let you describe where you kind of want to be and where you want to sit, if you want to be together, separated, whatever you'd like, before this begins.
Is it possible, actually, with the crit on that intimidation,
Yeah.
to get a tricolor badge off some of these people in the crowd?
With 8 successes, surely. You probably look at one of the National Convention deputies who has their hat sort of discarded on the sort of desk in front of them. Hears you speaking so highly about the cult of the Supreme Being and Robespierre's ideology. When you come up to them, and what do? Do you ask them? Do you demand?
I think it's because it's intimidation. It's one of those like, someone seems to have taken my tricolor from me, so I will just be taking this. And she'll just pluck it.
Oh, she plucks it off herself. Yeah, he just goes, okay,
Yeah.
okay, fine. No worries.
Yeah.
Take his lunch money too.
Yeah, that's right.
She grabs the hat. Do you want this, Remy?
Thank you. And I'll replace my top hat with that.
Do you let everybody see the situation?
Oh, you know, I mean, I did some healing, so hopefully it's partially gone at least, and I'll just do one of these little like slide and slides.
Yeah. Make it look theatrical.
Put the pin on. Probably do like a perking up of the bosom and be like, "Thank you, boys," and move along with Remy. I'm finding anywhere within a 50-meter radius of the lectern.
I
if
see.
You catch my drift.
Yeah.
Remy, would you want to sit near me?
I think by default, yes. However, Remy is going to be keeping an eye out for shadows. Anything that resembles some irregular darkness.
I will keep a note of that.
Yeah. There may come a time where he feels inclined to shift.
As has been a bit of the play these last few nights, Lucretia is being very handsy with you. She's lugging you around like a handbag, but she's like, it's too many hands on the waist and the hip and the shoulder and stuff. Like, she's so clearly very protective of you right now. But she'll sit down at this position and none of it shows on her face at all, but purely through physicality is she showing this.
Yeah, Remy will behave as though all of that is totally normal, unbothered, and just as though he is here. There's our seats, kind of vibe. Perfect.
And just riding that intimidation, she just takes someone's brandy, takes someone's wine. We'll hand it, hold it.
And lastly, Mael, as you enter, you are still cloaked by this Nosferatu, carrying the torpid form of Robespierre's greatest ally into the room where the two of them have made their most drastic and earth-shattering decisions together. You feel the weight of this situation on your shoulders in this moment.
So yeah, just as Lucretia's being very handsy, I'm also being very handsy with a bag. And seeing as there's no upper floor where people are gathering, it's only like down here. Um, I guess Mael's initial plan would have been like to get some like vantage point a bit more upstairs.
You can still do that.
But
It's right at the back,
yeah,
but yeah.
yeah, but the thing is as well, as she's planning to become visible again, um, and trying to blend in a bit as well. It's like more useful for her to be in a place where there's a like at least a bit of people. Because especially a bag. So I guess she'll leave the vantage point for what it is, and she won't sit because I'm assuming there's so many people in here. Not everyone is gonna sit. Like people are bit crowded together and standing and stuff like that. She'll go a bit to the side, and it's this stereotypical cinematic scene where the moment she crosses the threshold and starts moving in the crowd, she motions that it's okay for like the obfuscate to drop from her, and she activates Mask of a Thousand Faces. So like, just all of a sudden, there's just like a random person who is meant to be here, who looks like they're meant to be here, walking through the crowd.
Do you still want the Nosferatu to cloak Saint-Just?
Oh, that's great. Yeah. That's great. Lovely. Yeah, and my plan is basically to decide so that if I would want to, I could use the walls to get on top of Robespierre.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, so I want to be to the side, to the front, you know?
I understand. So you're close to the
Yeah.
wall, sort of where you could get like behind the big lectern thing.
Yeah. So that is clear. I will stand looking casual as always.
Yeah. It looks like you're holding nothing. The Nosferatu has shifted their Cloak the Gathering ability to just focus it on one person, which is something that it can do. I will get you to make a rouse check for Mask of a Thousand Faces, however.
I did already because when I said I was going to do that, and that's success, so I'm still at 3 hunger.
3 hunger. Still in that tentative middle state. The beast is certainly there, ready to work with you.
I'm at 4.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm at 4.
So things are getting a little bit dire now.
And it's spicy.
Yeah. Lucky this situation is about to turn in a particular way, shall we say.
Let's see how long I can hear Robespierre's bullshit before I snap.
That's right. He is about to speak for quite a long time. But as the three of you get into position and as this hall slowly fills up more and more and more until it is packed out. Not uncomfortably so. There is still room to move and to breathe and such, but it's certainly more full than what it's usually supposed to be. There's very clear like spots where people are supposed to sit, but some of them have like 2 people squished up together. Things of this nature. Some people are standing where Mael is standing on the ground, sort of looking up at the lectern on the side. There are a few people here, but not enough that that the air is impossible to breathe if you so needed to do that kind of thing. And it is as everybody fills in and the clock ticks over to 11 p.m. on the dot. And Maximilien Robespierre himself walks into the room, not via the sort of arched tunnel that you all took, but what looks like a kind of secret door almost behind the lectern. So he comes out and is standing there in front of everybody from the very first, looking decidedly more disheveled than what any of you are probably used to, especially when you saw him months before at the Festival of the Supreme Being, where he was dressed in this kind of ancient Roman garb and presenting himself in a very particular fashion. Now his pinstriped jacket is slightly skewed. His eyes are drooped. He wears glasses over his eyes to hide sort of bags that sort of just poke out underneath them. His skin pallid and almost flaky from what you can see. If he was mortal, you could say he would have aged quite a bit. Perhaps this is a result of hunger, of a decline in humanity, of something of this nature. It's difficult to pinpoint exactly what it is, but from the last time you three would have seen him at the festival to now, this is almost a different man. And there is a tense, viscous silence as he walks in the room, as people kind of notice him almost as an afterthought because he is so changed. And as this happens, we'll take this moment to have a quick break, and we will return with the continuation, shall we say, of this afterwards. Thank you everybody so much for watching so far, and we will see you soon. Hello again, everybody. Welcome back. Thank you for sticking with us through the break, and we will hop right back into the action. As I said, distinctly disheveled Robespierre arrives from out the back through the this like secret entrance that leads out onto the lectern, where there is a tense silence. Everybody stops, speaking, drinking. Glasses of brandy pours halfway to mouths. Sentences remain unfinished. Mouths gape open. Halfway formed words hang in the air. As Robespierre stands and addresses the crowd after about 20 seconds of just silence, citizens, other people draw flattering pictures to you of this place, of this city. I come here to tell you helpful truths. I do not come to carry out the ridiculous terrors spread by perfidy, but I want to smother, if it's possible, the flames of dissension by the only force that is the force of truth. I will defend before you your outraged authority and violated freedom. If I also tell you something of persecutions of which I am the object, you will not do me injustice. You have nothing in common with the tyrants whom you fight. The cries of the outraged innocents do not importune your ear. The cries of outraged innocents do not importune your ears, and you are aware that this cause is not foreign to you. The revolutions have changed the face of empires before us. Only had the purpose of change of dynasty, or the passage of power of a single one to the one of many. The French Revolution is the first that was founded on the theory of the rights of humanity and on the principle of justice. The other revolutions only required ambition. Ours imposes virtues. Ignorance and force have absorbed them in a new despotism. Ours, coming from justice, can only repose on its breast. The Republic, imperceptibility caused by necessity and by the fight of the friends of freedom against always recurring conspiracies, has, so to say, slithered through all the factions, but it has discovered their power organized around it, and all the means of influence in their hands. Also, hasn't it stopped being persecuted from its birth onwards in person of all men of good faith who fought for it? It is that, in order to maintain the advantage of their position, the heads of the factions and their agents have been obliged to hide themselves under the form of the Republic. Plessis in Lyon and Brissot in Paris all shouted Vive la Révolution. And for what? And from there he goes on and on, detailing the history of those who once stood for Robespierre's idea of the revolution and stood instead to abandon him and his incorruptible ideals when they became too much for their, what he describes as weak ideas. Despite his feverish look, the way that he has become somewhat emaciated by time and stress and whatever it is that is ailing him, has been ailing him for these past 6 weeks, he speaks with an almost enraptured fervor, as though every word he speaks eggs on the next with a heightened relevance and excitement. And it appears as though he is talking to himself, for himself, as opposed to for everybody else, though he very clearly addresses the crowd. I'll get you all to make a wits insight roll for me. Just wits insight.
Does a specialty on kindred count?
Yes, he is a vampire.
Does my specialty in desires to this?
Not this one.
That is fine. Also, any like crowd uproar or chit chat, Lucretia is playing along with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, people start to talk, react, murmur amongst this speech as they would in any convention meeting once
Yep.
he starts, things slip back into a sense of normalcy.
Yeah.
For Remy, that's 5 successes with a messy critical.
Nice.
3 for Lucretia.
Yeah,
Mhm.
also normal free.
Mm-hmm. It's difficult to discern because his eyes very fluidly dart about the room. Remy, the stage is set. The curtain is opening. You see his eyes very poignantly flicker to you, meets your eyes for a second as he speaks, before they flick to Lucretia for a moment. Mael, he doesn't look at, but back to you again and again and again, especially when he meets these crescendos in what he is saying. He looks to you frenzied by the words that he is saying, almost as though he is inviting you to join in whatever it is he is feeling in this moment. You, in the tension of this connection that the two of you appear to have between you here in this moment, as well as the rampaging noise of the crowd, the murmurs of fear, the put on, faked, false outbursts of appeasement, of agreement that you hear, the way that people are performing, both Robespierre and his audience are performing in a particular way, either to portray this false sense of agreement or to make those who agree feel disquieted, uncomfortable, pushes your own inspiration, your desire for performance to the fore. Your clan compulsion will activate here for the rest of the scene, which I believe, because of the way that your bane and compulsion interact, will have an effect on your physical ability for the rest of this scene.
I very quickly, at the first time I lock eyes with Robespierre, I think instinctually so, because she doesn't want to get like called out or caught, would just like to use entrancement if I can.
Yeah.
Just almost instinctually as eyes lock, just to be like, please don't. Like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's more of a self-protection thing.
Great. I will get you to make a rouse check for entrancement. And
Yeah, he does composure and wit.
Lovely. I will roll that for him.
I do get hungrier because I do think she is shook.
Mm-hmm.
Watch back. Roll a dice full of like 20 dice.
We won't watch, we'll just hear.
Oh boy. Shit.
6 successes for me.
Okay. He's going to beat you.
That's fine. It's
With-
more of an instinctual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He rolled a messy critical. So
Quid pro quo, Clarice.
yeah, that's right.
There you go.
Lucretia, when he
'Cause
sees
it's not obvious when entrancement is used.
No, that's
Okay.
right. But it's it's more of a
His
passive
blood
instinctual reaction of the beast to
Yes.
wash away any outside influence.
Yep.
Because they know that other kindred can do stuff like that. So he is going to, as you sort of lock eyes for a split second, his beast will feel this strange presence literally wash over him, and Remy, you notice that after a particular point, it is though he is speaking to Lucretia, who you both sort of sit kind of in the center of this space
Mm.
as you sort of forcefully pushed your way to the front. But now the tone of his voice changes, almost as though they are having an intimate conversation between them, one-on-one, in private, in a room together. He keeps speaking without missing a beat, but it is though he is speaking directly to her. He stops having eyes for you, eyes for anybody else in the room, and as he does this, I'm going to get all three of you
Yeah.
Oh, good.
to make a composure resolve check, please.
Oh, boingo, boingo.
Thanks to my compulsion, that will be at a 2 dice penalty.
Oh God.
But I'm gonna rouse the blood
Yep.
to negate that.
He is also going to. Actually, I'll
Why
just
not?
do
Let's all
this.
do it.
I'm not gonna
There's,
arouse
there's that
because
fail.
baby, if I arouse, I'm gonna just
Yeah,
jump at him.
Mhm.
So what was it again? Composure resolve?
That is
or composure-
correct. Yes.
Good. Good.
I'm just going to leave this one as is.
Yep, tensions are high. 7 with the crit.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. That was with a successful blood search.
Yeah.
I got the highest I could without any crits, and I have 5.
5.
Nice.
Which I will
With-
be entranced, baby.
With a second messy critical, that's a 6.
Oh.
Sir, your beast, please.
I spent a willpower as well.
Yeah.
Damn Remy, damn Bobbies. My God.
Remy, I'm thinking.
Okay. I will describe then that as he is talking to her, it's like this focus on her. She is slowly but steadily comprehending what this speech is.
Yeah.
Like as he goes on, she's like, this is pathetic that he has come up here to be like, don't blame me. Everyone who turned against me is wrong. And she is like, it's only happening in the moment, so she's not quite responding. She's still quite scared of him in a sense of like, if he says something, the whole place is going to turn on her.
Yep.
But she's figuring out what this speech means, and she is appalled.
Yep.
I don't know what we were resisting and if I failed or succeeded, but I have an idea of what Remy will do if he is double extra compelled or whatever.
Okay. What is your idea? Because I was going to do something else, but I don't like my idea that much, so I'll hear yours first.
Okay. So as in past situations when in a messy critical or compulsion situation, Remy begins to see real life as a performance, as a play, right? And so as soon as Robespierre's eyes locked with Lucretia, to Remy's eyes, this became a domestic comedy. And now he is lovesick over the lady on a pedestal who he can never have. And so Remy is going to play the part of the object of jealousy. And so Lucretia's been all handsy and stuff this whole time. So Remy is just going to finally start visibly reciprocating. And like put an arm around Lucretia's shoulder and just absently just like put a finger near her ear and the hair and just sort of play with it just very gently, and then look away from Robespierre just kind of laconically as though he doesn't exist.
Okay. Absolutely. I'm also going to ask you to increase your hunger by 1 as you do this as well. But you succeed. Mael, on the other hand, he got 6 successes as well. So you I think it's probably in overwhelming anger as to what he's saying. He is trying to siphon off the blame for all of the things that he has done, all of the blood that he has spilt needlessly throughout this city. He is trying to blame you, your people, the revolution that you started, for all of the things that he has done. And you, for this moment, find yourself stiffened. You cannot move, you cannot speak. Your mouth is, slack-jawed, open, staring up at him in just the gall of what he is saying right now. You can't look away. It's almost as though you want to hear every single syllable of what he is saying to understand and gather the extent of the treachery, of the audacity of what he is saying. You are under the effects of majesty, but in this case, it is spurred on by your complete and utter disagreement and horror at how he is presenting himself to you, I would say. He goes on and speaks, and as you, Remy, you would notice this based on your role before, is that when he looks at Lucretia and starts speaking to her, and you act in the way that you do, people around the room, as you sort of coyly look around you, playing this part, much of the room just staring at him. That quietness has come back. It's not complete. There are still some people that are moving, speaking, but it's turned into a whisper because they've realized that much of this room has just stopped. Still silent, literally unable to look away. They couldn't if they tried. Some of them did.
So we can feel that our beast responded in a very similar way that his did with mind transfer, right?
Yeah.
We know something has happened,
Mm-hmm.
but not what.
A massive shift in the mood of this room. Mm-hmm. Completely different to what it was when he started to speak.
Remy's going to experience this as playing the leading man.
Yeah.
Like the stage has moved,
Mm-hmm.
shifted, and it's now the three of us.
Yeah.
Everyone else is just here to watch.
I don't know what to do. Because engaging right now kind of makes sense. Would speaking first or simply acting be best? And would there be any form of signal or movement from Remy on like a guiding action? Because he's just playing with her right now and she's just like, don't shudder. Don't shudder. So what is there anything else that Remy would do before I'm going to stand up and say like, lame?
You mentioned before, Beck, that
Yes.
he was looking at Remy, almost daring him to join.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Remy might wait for a pause. Just like Kutan said, find the cue. Some dramatic moment of like taking an unnecessary breath, maybe. And then Remy's
actually,
just gonna.
That's what I'll do. Is I will create the cue for you. So I think as he's staring at Lucretia and you're like touching her and stuff.
Yeah, he's starting to stutter over his words a little bit, but he relentlessly pushes on with what he's saying regardless.
She's deliberately going to like it's going to be very over the top and over sexualized, but like as you're touching her, she's going to like do a show of her hand with the glass and then run it up like the inside of her dress and get him just for a moment to like think that something very scandalous is going on, and in that gap let Remy speak.
Remy is going to and maybe this is the first move in an act of dementation.
Yep.
I think this is maybe how Remy would execute it.
Sure.
But continuing to play with Lucretia's hair on this side, he's going to put a hand on Lucretia's hand, the other hand, and then just raucously loudly to break this silence, just scream, "Long live the king!"
Oh! I guess in that exact instant, I will blink across the room and try to behead Robespierre.
Let's go!
A lot of things will happen at the same time.
Yes,
no kidding.
Remy, make manipulation dominate for
and that's at a
that.
that's
I'm
at a
just gonna-
penalty because of
Your
stuff.
Bane. Yep.
I'm going to do lightning strike. 'Cause
Lightning
that
strike.
kind of serves the same.
Mm-hmm. He can resist you here.
If he rouses,
If he rouses. And he will.
succeed on my hunger. So now I just roll dex and melee.
He'll get hungrier. Roll dex and melee, and he will roll. He will roll strength and athletics to try and grab your arm because he doesn't want to get away from you. He wants to get towards you.
Yes. Nice. Ooh. It's a successful rouse.
Mhm. Oh no.
And a little bit of.
Yeah.
I rolled so badly.
Oh no.
That's fine.
He
It's
can
only
also
willpower
roll
online.
badly.
It's possible, I've heard.
Didn't roll too
Mhm.
good. I got 5.
You got 5.
Not very good.
He got 7 and a crit. So.
Damn, bitch.
Mhm.
My dementation roll was only 4.
Only 4? Sure. I'll just
Man's got to split his dice.
He does.
Resisting dementation.
Yeah. He only got 3, so you deal him 1 point of willpower damage.
Yes,
That would blow
emotional
anyone
damage.
out of the water.
Yeah. And because he loses this roll, his willpower seeps from him as the honest look of wrath that he is very clearly feeling towards this situation, towards you, Remy, specifically, seeps through from within him onto his face as he keeps speaking, but his voice takes on this gravelly, rasping, almost snarling tone. The majesty drops from the room as though it's sucked out back into him. Mael, you feel yourself be able to move again. This rage washes over you as he continues to speak. And Lucretia, you plummet towards him. Because he is so focused on you, he is able to, with his speed, his remarkable speed, see you coming and just grab the arm that held the glass, the hand that held the glass,
Right. Yeah.
and grasp that. And he tries to immediately drag you, not trying to hurt you, instead tries to kind of swivel you around and push you sort of against the wall where the secret door is, and like reach before you and try to like open it to get out of here. Still speaking this speech as he moves with you, as though it's like running through his mind like a something that is almost inhuman in a way, speaking again still to you as though you are the only one that he is speaking to in this entire room. There's yelling that started to happen. There's National Guard in the sort of the sides of the room that hold their bayonets up and start shouting. Some of the people in here, some of Francine's people, get up, taken this as their cue with their own weapons, and start to point them at the National Guard. Things have just erupted in this moment based on what you are doing here.
Like a sick play, as he is still speaking to her, moving her and stuff, she is still participating in how the crowd would have anticipated. Like, her just being like, oh, it seems that he's like, she is continuing the facade of an audience member to his speech, even as she is being like thrown and moved around. So she's trying to keep a semblance of composure. That's how she's responding. She's not like screaming or hollering.
Yeah.
Someone will scream here. The moment Mael can like move and speak again,
oh yes,
the anger that's been boiling up for a bit now, being able to finally act on it, seeing that he's trying to somehow weasel his way out of here pathetically, while still trying to like rile up the crowds. It's a pathetic excuse for whatever he's trying to accomplish here. And if I'm allowed to, I will, with Cat's Grace, just very try to bounce off of people to make my way to the like center. So still like in the back or something, just when the chairs start to like the center of the back kind of row of seats. I'll bound on top of the seats. So that I'm not really high, but I'm like sticking out of the crowd. The Nosferatu doesn't have to follow me. The poor guy may not be able to. It's fine. And if you will allow it, I will do that. Jump on top of the chair and call out to get Robespierre's attention. And I will say, "Hey, King!"
I love it. Cat's Grace is passive, so it's always active for you. So you bound off people's shoulders on the desks themselves, on the sort of almost auditorium, until you're up really high at the back. And I'm going to get you to make a check because he is so focused on Lucretia right now. So it's going to be, I think.
Yeah, no worries.
And there is quite a lot of ruckus in the room, but you are good.
I'm not one for getting attention, so yeah.
That's okay.
I joked that I wouldn't be able to seduce this man. Yet here I am in a private corridor.
Resolve intimidation, I think.
Yes. Sure thing. Honestly, I will risk rousing. Why not?
Is it possible for me to assist in this, or is that like an action to assist?
It's not an action to assist.
Because I'm playing into this audience member, I'd be like, oh, King, to try and get any form of assistance.
Yeah, that's fine. If you sort of look to Mael, he will look towards wherever you're looking to scope out any potential as you said, Remy, object of jealousy.
So I have an extra dice.
Yes.
I have my result.
How many successes?
7.
She bad.
Uh-huh. Yeah. His head flicks very quicker than the human eye could comprehend towards you, Mael. You can see it. Lucretia, you can obviously see it as well. To Mael, what kind of image do you present here?
I still look like your plain Jane revolutionist. But I just like with one foot I stand on a chair, with the other foot I'm like on the next one, on like the back of the next one. Someone's standing there. The moment I have his attention for a split second, I am planning to take out Saint-Just from his little bag and hold him up. The moment I hold him up, I still have obfuscate on. And if I have his attention, I will say, the king's form of justice seems to be dead. And I snap, like I want to crush the neck, and I'll let obfuscate drop at that moment.
Ooh, you want to kill Saint-Just.
Yeah, I just want to...
Strength roll.
Yes, please.
Saint-Just resists and knocks you into
Robespierre
talk.
is in a position right now. Because his compulsion is active. He is going to try and resist, but it will be...
Resist the strength roll.
At a penalty because he is resisting his compulsion.
Can I offer interception at all?
Yes, if you'd like. What would you like to do?
This is so crass.
That's okay. This is France, girl.
Lovely. I think I'm going to grab him by the balls. He tries to move, just. Yep. Anything to not get him across the room.
Yep. It'll be dexterity brawl.
Yay.
Oh, I love it.
Can't believe we're here.
Yep.
I love it.
I
I also have very fitting outcomes.
It's only 2 successes. But
that's a weak. I would think Lucretia would have more experience with that.
Yeah.
She's more involved with the tender movements, not these aggressive ones.
How did you go with that roll, Mael?
Yes, so I have 8 with a critical.
Ooh.
But I roused for it, and I failed my rouse check. But the rouse check, the action still occurs. It's like after that, like after you do the action, the hunger comes up. The hunger
frenzy.
So I can still have my lovely action, and then I'll be at 5 hunger.
Great. You won't behead him entirely with 8 successes, but you will be very close to getting it. Now make a hunger frenzy check.
Tell me what to roll.
It is your remaining unspent willpower. And because you are at hunger 5 now, the difficulty is 4.
Oh, baby.
And half of your humanity.
And half of your humanity rounded down, sorry. So what is your humanity currently? Is it 6? Or 5?
Maybe it's 4. I don't know. No, it's 5. It's 5.
Okay. So you can roll 2 extra dice on top of your unspent willpower.
Yeah, sure.
I always forget about that.
Like Mael does have secrets.
No. Yeah. I have one like box not filled in because I have like 1 stain. So that was why. Oh, baby. Oh. Did you say 4?
4 successes is what's needed.
Baby got 3. I'm gonna go ham.
It's time to de-abalarize.
Yep. So what happens?
This is gonna be something.
what happens is Robespierre looks towards you, opens the door that leads out of the auditorium, Lucretia, sees Maëlle, sees Louis-Antoine de Saint-Just, sees her grab him by the neck and blinks over to her and then jumps very quickly, like over rabid, like entirely physical, over to her, but not before she can just rip her strong arms, her strong hands into his throat, almost separating his head from his shoulders. This torpid, young-looking man, this object of Robespierre's vision, this important piece in everything that he has built. And he lets out a yell, incomprehensible, no words come out of his mouth. It is just this strangled cry. And you see, Maëlle, you'd see it because he is right in your face. The beast sort of come up through his throat onto his face as his features contort entirely into this sort of bestial, other, something else to what he has been throughout this time. The last words of his speech die on his lips as the beast comes forth entirely and takes him over. I'm gonna get you all to make a quick wits awareness for me as this happens.
Even I, because I don't think I would be very aware at this moment.
No, not you. Definitely not. 2?
3 for Remy.
Remy, with 3 successes, out of the corner of your eye, you spot sort of soaring over the this hole in the Tuileries, as though it is some kind of omen, good or bad, you're not sure which. Sort of similar in aesthetic to the famous painting that Jacques-Louis David did of the tennis court oath 5 years before, but a lot more gruesome in its reality, is a single bird, large bird of prey, eagle, falcon, you're not quite sure. But as it soars over, you catch the faintest glimpse of its red eyes as it flies over. In one window, out the other.
I do not see the bird.
You do not, no.
Aim.
Remy is the only one that sees this brief, almost slow motion, very much slow motion in comparison to the way that Robespierre and Lucretia and even Maëlle have been moving ever since things spearheaded. And as this happens, as Saint-Just sort of drops down, almost completely decapitated, to the sort of level of the auditorium below the one which you dropped him down from, Maëlle, you hear the sounds of gunfire, the anarchs firing at the National Guard, some of the National Guard firing on the other National Guard as Bilal Varennes' men and women fire on the others. And you can see, Lucretia, that the weapons that the anarchs are holding are the same as what the National Guard are using. These are brand new, state-of-the-art things and such. Some of the mortal deputies have tried to rush out of the building, but find that they can't get through the door of the auditorium. It's sealed shut. There's no way out. Robespierre has shown you that there is another way out that potentially could be free, potentially not. You know that the Nosferatu are guarding all of the doors, and Bilal Varennes has men stationed. Aaron de Galbert has men stationed. Margot has men stationed. Yes. This is what you see. What would you like to do?
Storyteller, tell me, who do I jump on? Because I failed my frenzy check, so like I can't decide. You will have to decide.
Robespierre is the closest one to you.
Slop, slop.
Mm-hmm.
I would probably give a very rapid signal to the Nosferatu that has been assisting Mael to just gesture to this spot. She's going to step up as if she's on a beautiful stage up onto
You
the
are on
top
the
of the
lectern.
lectern.
Mm-hmm.
She stands on top of it, gets that fan out, and is going to fling herself across the room for a little lightning strike.
Yeah.
But it's not just to slash, because attacking the back of someone's neck is never a good idea.
Mm.
She's actually going to lift her leg up, try and wrap it around like the neck, and use her weight to fling Robespierre across the room so that she can get a better strike at his neck.
Ooh, okay.
So it's this like flying spin that she hooks her leg around to fling. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the intent.
I love it. Mm-hmm. So you're trying to hoist yourself around him so you can like bring yourself up and
I'm kind of trying to throw him
Yeah.
across the room.
That's
Mm-hmm.
such a beautiful scene.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Throw him across the room so you can throw your fan.
So
I
that
love
his
it.
back hits the wall,
Mhm.
and then I want to do that lightning strike just like
Beautiful.
decisively into his neck.
Yeah, okay. Remy,
Almost
what would you...
like that sexy pinning against the wall action, except a
Yeah.
somersault.
Mm-hmm.
So in all this chaos
Yeah.
that's happening, as like Robespierre moves and Lucretia moves, and Remy alone sort of sees this bird fly overhead,
Yes.
he's just going to look up and smile and say, "Whilst the screech owl screeching loud puts the wretch that lies in woe in remembrance of a shroud. Now it is that time of night." And then he's going to get up and then walk up to the lectern and just activate awe.
Incredible.
And just full dump into this monologue. And just be like pointing out what's happening with Robespierre, and then like is lost in this moment.
In managing the stage, in directing the chaos into something that for you is entirely controlled, but for everybody else it is the beauty of circumstance and reaction. And it is as you are here or activated that some of those who are trying to escape feel themselves turning around to watch you, listen to you, as though you are the new purveyor of this night and what people have been waiting for, as Robespierre is over there sort of deep in combat with the other two. And it is while you are here overlooking it that you sort of see out of the kind of crevices and corners of the room, the sides where the shadows cast on the ground, where the desks lay up and up and up. That these strange, formless, intangible things sort of start to creep across, wrapping themselves around some of the National Guard. A lot of the anarchs know not to go near the sides of the room for this reason, but some of them still get caught up in whatever these things are as they wrap around, sort of making people fell to the ground. That people shoot at them, they slash at them with the blades on their bayonets, but nothing works. And it is just this cacophony of screams, of confusion, of horror, of terror, of agony, as these things devour, suffocate, and constrict the life and unlife from everything that they come across, slowly but surely, as the falcon perches on the windowsill above, continuing to observe everything that's going on. Lucretia, I'm going to get you to make a dexterity performance roll, and Mael, as I would say that Robespierre is thrown away from you before you're able to get to him because Lucretia is so quick. And so in that case, you are going to catch eyes with just one of the National Guard, one of the blue uniformed gentlemen that is fighting on your own side, on the side of Bilal Varen. He's one of his men, but he is the closest towards you, bleeding as well, so therefore very present
May
in
I
your
be
mind.
the advocate of the devil
You may.
and say that Saint Just is literally like, I still
At your
have his blood on
feet.
my hands.
Yeah, why not? I like that. Go for
I
it.
would love to just devour a human, but
Yeah. You.
Oh,
Saint Just's blood is seeping from his neck, the bit of it that remains, and because he is torpid and not going to resist you, it is there for you, for the taking, to start slaking. And because you are in hunger frenzy, you're going to keep drinking for a while, unless you spend a willpower, of course, to stop yourself from doing so. You slake your first point on his blood, and my god, Mael, it is probably the most intensely exquisite thing you have ever tasted in your life and your unlife. This is something that is at once nothing and everything. The blood is dark and it reflects an absolute absence of thought, of feeling, and it reminds you in this moment of how Saint Just looked when he was asleep in your basement room, just at the beginning of this night, just hours before, completely at peace, nothing on his face, no scowl, no chip on his shoulder, just peace, just nothing. And there is that sense of calm rightness that fills you as you start to drink, and it's impossible not to need more from this. Lucretia, how many successes did you get?
evidently being this close to this man yet again, I have gotten 8 with a messy critical.
Okay. A possible
And
messy critical.
I will offer that we knew this was coming.
Yeah.
I think as she does this like fling movement, she's checking because she needed to get him away closer to the wall where these shadows are coming in. And she can see, she would probably watch Mael drop to her knees or something like that.
Yeah. Sort of just drop down onto the next level of the auditorium and just, yeah.
Yeah. And that is a movement that she has night after night not wanted anyone to do. And now she is doing it. So there is a possibility that Mael's beliefs are about to be violated, and her obsession may be on that. That is my offer. If it's a different kind of compulsion, so be it. Or if it's just a different kind of victory over Robespierre.
Interesting. How many successes did you get?
8.
Okay.
With that messy crit.
Yes. He also got 8, but I'm going to do a blow for blow thing here because I think I want you to have this messy critical for narrative purposes, and so what are you aiming for with your strike, your fan?
It's been the neck. She, when it comes to these blows, it's just a whittling away of the neck, almost always.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. I'm gonna do something here for my particular selfish love of historical accuracy.
Adoration.
Yeah. You go for his neck. You don't quite get it. It does a lot of damage, but where he is screaming and yelling and has been speaking this entire time, the words of the revolution have flowed through his mouth for years now. His word has been the law. of this city, of this country. And as you throw this fan of yours, that I'm assuming you're using the one that is,
Yes.
yeah.
She's been using, she has, her offhand is her not kind one.
Yeah, great. So this is going to do an obscene amount of damage because it's all aggravated as well. But it cuts like sort of across his face. So it goes into his neck and also his jaw sort of it comes off the rest of his face, and so it is hanging by basically the skin, extraordinary, like destroyed. He can no longer speak. His tongue has nothing to form words around, and his jaw hangs limply from his face, in an extraordinarily grotesque, abomination of what he has come to represent. The image, the vision of Robespierre as the incorruptible leader of this pure, virtuous revolution, it all comes apart as his face comes apart. He can no longer form expression, even. The beauty of humanity that he liked to portray as being a sort of leader, a shepherd of, is withered away in this. And it sort of cuts into his face, into his neck, and his jaw hangs limply from his body.
I think she will, because technically I haven't quite used a discipline, have I?
No.
This is okay, cool.
You just done your thing.
After that happened, I think she says, she would have better words, and my brain is like cooking right now. It's something like, when you say you are incorruptible, it is that of which you will become corrupt. At least if you could stand by these beliefs, don't stand before us and tell us not to see them. Like some kind of, at least stand by it to the end, you piece of shit.
Yeah.
And then with my discipline use, I am going to use blink, and I am going to collect my L and try and get her off St. Just.
Great. Before you do that, yes, please do.
Yes.
Remy, are you still awing the crowd, directing the play?
Oh yes. Just in full throttle delivery of this speech, and looking around for people who are making eye contact, and also looking to the sides of the room and seeing these shadows rise. Just going to sort of step forward even further past the lectern, just to the edge of stage, and say, "Now it is the time of night that all the graves are gaping wide. Everyone lets forth his sprite in the churchway paths to glide. And we, the fairies that do run by triple Hecate's team, from the presence of the sun, following darkness like a dream." And then I'm going to step down off the stage and just drop into the front row of the crowd and find someone who's looking.
Plenty of them.
And yeah, and just say, use compel, and just say, "Watch the shadows and be still," and just like take their hand and point them towards wherever the sides of the rooms are.
Yep.
And then I'm going to feed.
A free action if you're targeting just a mortal. And if they are still, no need to make a roll for feeding. You can just take as much as you so please, since you are actually in a remarkable amount of control. Despite your compulsion, it only heightens your sense of ownership, I would say, over what is happening in this moment. Robespierre is going to try and go against his compulsion again. And Maëlle, he is going to try and rip you away from Saint Just at the same time as Lucretia. So, Lucretia,
Ooh. Mm.
I'm going to, you're using Blink. I'm going to get
I
you,
failed my blinkers.
you failed your rouse check?
Yep.
Okay, that's okay.
Yep.
What hunger are you at now?
3.
3, okay. The beast is starting to come to life within you.
A lot of her beast is being thrown at her and
Yes.
appreciated by others, so she is of two minds.
Of two minds, but you're working in tandem for the time being.
Of course.
It's starting to get a little bit needy at this point, though.
Yeah.
I'm going to get you to make, I guess it would be dexterity performance for you to grab her quickly. And Robespierre will make a similar check to try and grab hold of my L.
And again, being the devil's advocate, just for story-wise, I think I should make a strength check to hold on.
Yeah. Absolutely. Make a strength athletics check to keep feeding, since you are in the thralls of frenzy.
Although I do have grappling in Brawl.
Yep. So it would be added to your roll, despite the fact that just add the extra.
As I said, just narrative, just to be like honest.
It's true, yeah. Especially because you're acting purely on instincts at the moment. So if your instincts require you to, feed, then that's what they will do.
Let's see these toreadors pull you off somebody.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm gonna rouse.
The object
I
of jealousy
should
has
not
changed a
have
lot throughout
roused.
this whole scene.
Hmm?
Shouldn't have done that.
Woohoo!
6, just a flat 6.
And I just have 4, which is not a lot for me.
No. I got 7 for Robespierre.
Whoa.
So Mael, there is a strange feeling that cuts through your instincts as this quick hand grabs the shoulder that has just pained you so intently in another sense, on another night, in another context, not too long ago, as the speed of it almost crushes into you, not intending to hurt you just yet, but doing so almost accidentally, as it sort of pushes some of the bones out that you have just mended yourself. You're only going to take 2 superficial damage as it's halved, but you definitely feel it, especially the ache from just having healed it not too long before. And you are reminded so intensely closely, especially looking at the face of Robespierre, you remember him once as this kind of godly being that he was portraying himself as, on this makeshift mountain in the Champ de Mars, talking about liberty and freedom and the cult of the supreme being and what it represents, and now being reduced to the reality of what he is, stripped back, stripped away, nothing left. You can see the flesh that makes up his undead face through the sort of insane damage that Lucretia has dealt him. He is clearly struggling very intensely to keep himself up, alive, in this state, not torpid, just as his greatest ally is. And you were reminded in this moment very strongly of somebody else that has taught you about the true meaning of liberty, of freedom, of personal autonomy, and how Caius's word, the reality of what he was doing, turned out to be nothing but a lie, nothing but a fabrication to keep you in line, to keep you with him, to keep you something that he could easily manipulate, control, mold to what he wanted you to be. And you see Caius reflected in the disformed, broken face of Maximilian Robespierre in this moment, and your beast sees it as well. All of the blood gushing out of his face in your frenzied state, you just having drunk the sweet vitae of his closest ally. Your hunger reduces by 1, but your frenzy still rages as it goes on. I'm going to need you to roll strength brawl for me again. Take 2 dice off that as well. Remy, you see this. You see Aaron de Galbert come in as well through the throngs of people pushing through those who are trying to escape and those who are entranced by watching you, a bayonet in his own hand, looking somewhat unsure about how to use it. He spots Francine from up the back across the auditorium. They share a nod, a sort of simple understanding, a solemn acceptance of the fact they need to work together to get this done. And he starts firing upon those in the sides of the room, those members of the National Guard that are not fighting with the Anarchs, those who are too far away from the shades to be caught by them in the next few seconds. And you watch as the tide of this battle turns very, very quickly in the favor of all of the allies that you have gathered over the past few nights. Mael, how many successes?
I didn't spend willpower because I
It's
don't
okay.
think that's like
No.
thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I still have 8 middle messy crit.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's easy for you in this case. You latch onto, as part of the jaw, this neck that is exposed, just flesh, waiting for your teeth to grip in. Lucretia, you see her latch onto the next thing that is placed in front of her. This turmoil that seems to flicker across her face, slightly betraying a sense of deep, like emotional connection to whatever is happening in this moment. Remy, you witness all of this as well. The Falcon's still on the balcony, watching, waiting for something, perhaps. At least they're just observing.
Something or someone. Okay. So Remy has been feeding.
Yes.
I assume he's had time to take 1 hunger off.
Oh, yes,
in that
plenty.
amount of time, is that right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Because he was at 3 hunger, so I was like,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
what's this deal? Okay.
Time has passed enough.
Sure. And then, so Robespierre is in the fray trying to pull Mael off of Saint
That's
Just,
right.
is that right?
Yes.
And then de Galbert and others are firing away. Remy
And I
is
am
going.
on Robespierre right now.
Mael
Are
is
you on
now
Robespierre?
Mael is now feeding from Robespierre.
Yes. I
Okay.
imagine that Remy, like, he's saying and predicting things that haven't occurred yet, is what I'm imagining as he's directing things. I'm going to gift you my possible action and how you react to it. The stage play dictates that the leading woman has her outburst now. She is at she's at 4 hunger now. And you can see the next line in the play involves Sophie. Deal with that as you will. But Lucretia's about to do some fucked shit, so.
All right. In that case, what's Saint Joseph's deal right now?
Still torpid, almost nearly headless. Yeah, but not quite headless. Mael crushed his throat, much so that it's probably just the spine that is keeping him from being completely dead, complete ash on the grounds of this hall in the Tuileries. But he is down, sort of discarded amongst the ruckus, just on one of the pews, essentially, that make up this auditorium.
All right. Then I think Remy is just going to just walk through the crowds of people that are there as though none of this violence and chaos is happening around him, and just sort of look at what's happening with Robespierre and Mael and hearing the echo of Lucretia's future, is just going to put a boot on Saint-Just's neck, reach down with his hands and pull his head up to look at him and say,
Sleeping like a child.
say, so beautiful, even in death. And then I'm going to wrench his head off of his shoulders with my boot. And if it works, I would like to kiss his lips as they crumble to ash and let it go.
I think you will still have to make a check for this.
Sure.
Just because it's not as easy as it probably looks.
No.
It's probably
No.
going to be...
I make it look easy.
Yeah,
you
that's
truly
right.
do.
That's true.
Strength brawl, rest in pieces, brother.
I was going to say stamina brawl just because you want to
true.
like sort of draw it out long enough for the kiss to occur, I would
Look,
say.
it's slightly better.
Yeah.
I'll take it. I'm definitely going to rouse the blood.
While that's occurring, Lucretia is going to, where possible, this is the intent, literally move so quickly that she is skidding along the ground on her heels to pick up the fan, and she is going to lightning strike and actually try to cut Robespierre from the nose across so that it literally releases just the section that Mael's holding on to separate the two. And she's going to yell, like, she is shrieking now, like fangs out, unfortunately for the people in this room.
One of those nights.
She slashes down. She's just going to be like, you may take everything from Paris, but you will not take Sophie from me. And will try to just cut.
Are you trying to behead him in the process?
If I can kill him, that's great. I'm trying to make sure that when he dies, his soul does not enter Mael. That's the intent. The intent is to ensure that diablerie does not occur by bisecting wherever the biggest piece is.
Yeah. Make a dexterity performance roll for me.
Do you want me to? I'll rouse for lightning strike.
Yes, please do. Remy, how many successes?
Come on, there's enough.
4.
There's enough space at Robespierre's throat to also come drink.
Saint-Just needed 2 more to be beheaded, so you've passed the threshold. How does it look?
I imagine just placing a boot right on that last wisp of spine and stuff that's left, and then just very gently, lovingly placing hands around the back of the head with thumbs on either side of the temples, and just grind the heel downwards and just left, right, pump. And then holding him up just right there, say, if we shadows have offended, think but this, and all is mended, that you have but slumbered here. And then let the ashes go.
Yeah.
Kind of as they go.
Make a wits awareness for me as you do that. 5 successes, Lucretia?
5 successes, and I'm at 5 hunger.
Yeah. You didn't rouse or anything, did you? Or is it just...
No, so I did lightning strike, went to 5, and I used, I think, like, I have, like, 1 more willpower left.
Okay. So remind me what exactly it is you're doing.
I am trying to... If I can kill Robespierre, that's great. If he dies from this, I want to make sure that his soul doesn't enter Mael through diablerie accidentally. So she's feeding on, like, his neck. So she's very dexterous and quick. So if she can literally do, like, a round circle cut on him, that's kind of the goal.
Yeah. Based on the damage you did to him before, and the fact you are, I'm assuming, using Bilal Varen's
Yeah,
then
she did
once
like this
again,
sliding grab
yeah.
as she like yelled, "You will not take Sophie from me!" and slash.
Yeah. Mael, it is as Robespierre's body, as you separate not only the sort of piece of jaw from the rest of his head, sort of making it fall from where Mael has latched on, but his head from his shoulders. The way that his body decomposes, it doesn't turn to ash like Saint-Just's did. It's more of a kind of a corpse that you might find that has been decomposing and decaying for a number of decades, but it is not ancient like his. He is younger. It is the strangely enough the corpse of an idealistic kindred who has come into this world and thinks that they can take it on easily, quickly, without anything. And it is this: you will not take Sophie from me. Mael is the first thing you hear. As you come to, you're only on 1 hunger. Now, you didn't quite get down to 0 before the killing has happened sort of for you. But being at 1 is enough to make the frenzy kind of filter out of you in this sense. And was it 4 successes on the wits awareness, Remy?
No, only one, in fact.
Ah, only 1. I
4
see.
to pop the head off.
Yeah, my apologies. You simply see with 1 success is sort of the ash kind of lift up and float kind of around in that weightless way that it has, as though it's made of nothing between your fingers. And it is as Robespierre's corpse decomposes into almost nothing, but not quite, and Saint-Just's becomes nothing. And the National Guard, which swore to protect Robespierre, has either flipped sides or are dead. Is where you find yourselves sobering to the victory that you have felt here this night amidst the corpses of your enemies, your friends, the shadows that retreat back into their corners at what has been achieved, no longer needed, called back to the strange land from which they came, beyond the strange door underneath this palace. Ashes littering the ground, mortals drained dry, some of them still in the corridor, looking at you, Remy, most impervious to the horrible scene that is laid out before them. But not quite. They are aware, these men and women, that something not quite right has happened here. The ashes on the ground are a testament to that. Their brethren, their brothers and sisters, suffocating to strange, dark things, formless beings, shapes. Testament to that.
I'm going to find any old mortal who is still around being like, oh god, what's going on? And she's just going to like blur and feed on them. And she's going to do this to a couple people, I think. Get them like dazed enough within the kiss. Actually, hold on, that first one. I'd frenzy her.
Yes, exactly.
Oof.
It'll be a hunger frenzy check, and it'll be a manipulation subterfuge to
So,
gauge the
constant
success.
willpower. And then half of my humanity. This is not going to be good. I'm trying to beat 4. Yeah, that's 1 success. So she frenzy.
Yeah. It's not going to
and
be
if
multiple people if nobody
that's
does
fine. If
anything.
no one stops her, which it's totally fine if you don't, she'll just kill one of them. And I guess for the sake of time, if she gains composure of herself, there will be like, I don't know, how many people roughly are left?
I would probably say after people have come in the ruckus and everything like that as well, in this large grand hall.
Yeah. Just the mortals, really. The masquerade breaches. That's what I want to know.
Probably about 100.
Okay, cool. I was like, maybe Remy can do a bunch of forgetful minds. God, I think these people have to die, but at the same time, how would this be handled? Because for the camera,
Remy is not bothered by
yeah,
this fact, but is going to look around and then. So what's Mael's state of being at this
Yeah, I was going
point?
to ask that myself.
yeah. Well,
Like, is she still
Well,
frenzying, or what's
let me
going on?
tell you, I'm
Not
not
anymore.
frenzying anymore.
Okay.
Doesn't mean that Mael's not frenzying, that she's not a heaping mess at this moment. Because during the entirety of all of that, she was really it was the beast taking over. But the things she's been reminded of and the things she just did, there's definitely blood streaks on her face from like tears and stuff like that, despite everything she did. And also, as she's kind of hunched over on the ground, everything happened really, really fast. And then everything all of a sudden calming down and regaining like awareness of her surroundings. She's looking around and her eyes have this yellowish color with a fine slit in the middle of it, almost reminding you of snake eyes. Because she frenzied and she gained an animal feature for the first time. So yeah, she is honestly not doing anything at this moment. She's kind of hunched over on the ground, looking around, very dazed. Probably like absentmindedly also watching Lucretia because she's the first thing she saw before like she flitted away and stuff like that. So yeah.
Now that I've had a moment, I think she would do like bring it on to get the attention of all of the mortals. And then give the equivalent of if you leave this room and speak about anything that you saw that was unnatural, know that those unnatural forces will find you in the night. Like a threat of keep your fucking mouth shut. You can talk about Robespierre dying. Don't you dare talk about anything else.
Make a manipulation intimidation roll.
Ooh. Cool.
As the anarchs sort of look amongst their dead solemnly, it will take them a while to allow the victory to come over them. They will let themselves mourn their losses first, as they are more in touch, for the most part, with their human sides. As for Margot, 5, yes. As far as you can tell, Lucretia, it's the vast majority of them. ready and eager to agree, saying that nobody would believe us even if we told them what had actually happened anyway, so what's the point? Just let us go, please. All of this kind of thing.
I will know. So go out and know that every ear is one waiting for you to slip up. And if there's any other like Camarilla or people particularly phased about the masquerade who are like, that's not good enough to her, she'll stop, but if not, she'll be like, leave.
Dagobert actually helps you tell some of them that they need to not speak about this and all of this kind of thing. But they all go off, and you can tell that they are, at least for the most part, I would say, very much in agreement that like there's no point in saying anything about this, basically. If it means that they can live and not meet the same fate as all of those other people, then fine, we'll do whatever you want, basically. Are there any words exchanged between the three of you as you are here, as you move off from here, the remains of your enemies being unidentifiable at this point?
Is Mael still on the ground? Or is she standing?
I'm pretty let's say that she stood up, but now she's looking at the decaying body of Robespierre.
You probably hear her heels come up behind you. She probably stands just at your side. She just says, "Are you okay, my dear?"
You'll always ask that question.
I do.
Who killed him?
We did. Together.
Who's we?
You and I. Your teeth at his neck. My fan to his face.
I'm happy you didn't feel the need to justify Remy there.
Remy did kill Saint Just, though.
Thank you. Lucretia.
I don't think
I've
she
never
hides
felt
it, but a tear of blood just goes down her cheek.
I think that despite all of my bravado and big words, I never had the heart to kill him. But you did, and you showed me that I could. Because if I don't, I'll keep reliving all of this.
I know that you have wanted freedom, and I know that if you had done that alone, that you would never be free. So I merely wanted to assist. You are very competent. Thank you for saying. Thank you.
I don't get how some of them enjoy it. I would like to never feel someone inside of me like that ever again.
I could not agree more with you, Maya.
I think you can see fresh, like, tears welling up but not spilling and stuff like that. And she'll turn her sideways to Lucretia, away from the ashes. Pick up her hands, or like one of her hands, and kind of like hold them between hers. You don't need him or anyone to fight. Because look at what you can do when you believe in something. You fight for yourself.
I think her other eye, another stream of blood comes down. I think her hand like closes in the one you're holding. And for the first time, probably ever, she is completely speechless. There's more blood coming down her cheeks.
You don't need a man or a woman telling you what to do.
I think her hand comes over your other one. She says in a very shaky voice, I don't need them, but I want you. And Remy, I want people in my life.
It's okay to want people as long as you don't want to become them.
I think she smiles a bit, her fangs still kind of showing. Would you like to be in my life some more? I won't be overbearing, I swear.
Maya will let go of Lucretia's hands then
Mhm.
and lower them down again and say, it's a new Perry. I'll think about it.
That would be really nice, I have. Thank you.
What is Remy doing here?
Remy has the best seat in the house.
Hmm.
I think he would have noticed this conversation happening. I don't know if he can hear every word, but I imagine he thinks he knows. at the silence between them. I think he'll walk closer over to them, sort of position himself between them and the ashes of Sensuous, and look around for any signs of shadows.
For the moment, retreated though, sure to make an appearance soon. You can assume.
Well, to be honest, I'm not sure I expected to live to see the epilogue.
I don't want to hear it from you. You were going to live either way.
Don't underestimate yourself. Are you okay?
Quite.
I did not catch all of the details of your lovely monologue.
Uh, Delightful. Or sometimes the scene sets itself for you.
Perhaps you can retell it at Le Bon Diable.
It is a very fitting location for that particular tale.
Definitely a place for you to finally step on stage.
Ah,
Just for once, for me.
perhaps. Tell me, I know that it will never be the same as it was. But now Paris is born again. Perhaps I will see both of you on occasion.
If it can be helped, of course.
You are both welcome in my home whenever you wish.
You didn't even blink an eye when I was destroying myself. Why would I walk into your home? We're not even anymore, Remy. That's in the old Paris.
You had faith that I would survive. I had the same faith in you.
And luckily, faith stays in the Sabbat.
Well, I'm going to look down at Robespierre's corpse and say, recent history says otherwise.
I think with that, we will draw the curtain on this particular act for now and come back next time to see through the epilogue of this grand performance and see what becomes of the events that have transpired in the Tuileries Palace this night. The bonds that are forged, broken, altered, changed, chained, unchained. Thank you, everybody, so much for coming to watch this session and hang out with us. It's been a pleasure and so much fun, as always, to be at a table with these wonderful people. I'm Beck. I've been your storyteller for this session, as always. And before we leave off for this evening, we'll once again get our lovely group to introduce themselves to everybody. Let us know who you are, what you're up to, where we can find you.
Hi, I'm Adam. I have been playing Remy, your puckish Sabat Malkavian. You can find the Shakespeare-inspired D&D stream that I help run called Bardic Inspiration at the info below. And you should check out an Australian-centric Vampire Chronicle coming up. May, in fact, already be out by the time this is going. Red Center by Night. You may see some familiar faces. Thank you.
I'm Jack. I've been playing Madame la Comtesse de Visage, the Camarilla Toreador, certainly related to the St. Michael powerhouse, everything going on. I'm at Dr. Radiance on things, and I'll similarly be a part of Red Center as a very different K-Knight. Thank you so much.
And hi, I'm Syrinx. I've been playing Mayel, the City Council Anarch, who is liberated at this moment. And you can find me at Syrinx on Twitter and Instagram as such. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, again, so much for coming to watch this session with us. As I said, we'll be back next time for the thrilling and I'm sure emotional conclusion. Definitely not me crying at the end of this session. But yes, thank you everybody so much for coming and spending time with us. Have a good one and take care.